Alright, this video is about selfishness. So I grew up sort of a selfish kid. At least at home I was sort of selfish. I would always ask for the latest games, like video games, like Pokemon when I was very young, and I would ask for the latest toys and gadgets and whatever the hell. And as I got older, though, I learned, I sort of taught myself that all these things that I had were just sort of trivial. Because it sort of started like this. Like, I was selfish, then I got bored of everything I had. Like video games, mainly video games. And then after I got bored, I realized all this stuff doesn't really matter. And then I became sort of less selfish. So I sort of just barreled right through my own selfishness. Not to say that I'm not sometimes selfish, but I don't really, nowadays, I don't really ask for much. And yeah, I just wanted to sort of talk about selfishness. It seems like it's sort of a prevailing attribute that younger people have. And this video is not going to change that, it's not going to do anything to change that. But I still sort of want to say to the internet that it's just sort of selfish to, I don't know. It's just, younger people are very selfish. Like TikTok, Instagram, all that. And I have an Instagram, but I guess I selfishly post pictures of my face. And I do bodybuilding, so I might seem sort of selfish, but I mainly do it just to keep my sanity, even though it's sort of a teetering sanity with bodybuilding. So I guess in that way I'm still selfish, but it's also just a good way to stay healthy. Even though I'm not that healthy right now, I'm overweight. I've talked about that. I have to cope with being fat. And you might say it was selfish to get fat, and I don't disagree. I also have disability right now, which you might also say is selfish, but I actually kind of need it for a disorder that I have. So I didn't really have much of a choice. Plus, I wouldn't have been able to pay the hospital bills that I had when I got hospitalized recently. But since I have welfare, they all got paid. So yeah. Anyway, so selfishness and insanity, like everybody else's selfishness makes me go insane, basically. That's basically the gist of this video. If you think about it, like a girl posts a selfie of her boobs or whatever, or her ass, and then ignores a guy like me. And then I have to deal with being alone, and then I go insane. And then I get put into a hospital, and then I have a bunch of bills, and then I have to go on welfare. Like, how selfish am I, compared to the girl who did that? Even though it's technically not her fault that I might have. And by the way, that's not exactly a direct thing that happened. Like, I didn't look at a pair of boobs and then go insane. I just, it's just sort of the way that Instagram and social media selfishly take away from the society, the civilization. The community that we once had in the United States and other Western countries. The way that it does that, it just sort of drives some men to insanity, and I'm one of those men. And don't get me wrong, I don't really have any qualms with a girl posting on Instagram on an individual basis. like I don't like if a girl's gonna show her body on Instagram, I don't mind looking at it. But the fact that if I go somewhere in public and I try to talk to a girl and she might be on her phone doing that instead of having a conversation with me, it's kind of like, in my own way, that might be selfish of me, but not really. There's what I'm saying is there's just not very many opportunities to meet women because of social media, which kind of drives me insane. But that's not really the thing that drove me to the hospital last time. I don't go to the hospital often. I've only been to the hospital twice. And yeah, it's not like a psych ward in my state, at least. I moved states from, like, the first time I went to the hospital, I went to the psych ward because I had a suicide attempt, which I talked about in one of my videos. And then I guess I went to a psychiatric hospital recently, like 7 months ago, because I walked out of my apartment. I was having like delusions. Like, I can't even remember the delusions, but I was just like thinking weird things, and not weird things like bad things, but like things that were just like, I was just getting paranoid and thought people were out to get me. Nobody was out to get me. And so I walked 16 or 17 miles from one town to another town. And in the middle of winter in the cold, and then I just sat down in the snow. And some people called the cops just because they didn't know what I was doing in the snow, I guess. And they figured I needed medical assistance because I was like freezing basically. I had a mild degree of hypothermia, which healed up once I got inside and got warm. But yeah, that's why I went to the hospital last time, and it just, yeah. Anyway, so I guess that's why I'm talking about selfishness, because you just, I don't know. And I'm no better, I guess, when it comes to social media. I post pictures of myself, but I'm just trying to compete. I don't know. I'm just trying to find any way to be relevant sometimes. But yeah, selfishness is not a good thing. You want to be giving and not selfless, like you're just giving everything away that you have. But yeah, anyway. That's not the only thing, I guess, that people are selfish about. People are selfish about their money. Like my family, for example, like my extended family, they're very, like most of my family is pretty well off, like upper middle class probably. They're not like wealthy, but upper middle class, and they're very stingy with their money, and they're just sort of not the nicest sometimes. I mean, they're actually pretty nice. It's just they're kind of like snooty, I guess. Like my uncle and my aunt are sort of like that. Like my uncle's pretty nice. My uncle's pretty nice, and my uncle is fairly nice. Sorry, I have a bunch of spit in my mouth. My uncle is fairly nice, but my aunt is sort of kind of snooty, and my uncle can be kind of like that too, and he can be kind of boastful, and I think he's part of like a biker club, but it's like an old person's biker club. It's not like an outlaw gang or whatever. And they're kind of like boastful, and like it's kind of dumb. It's just sort of like they're not the outlaws, they just kind of act like it. So, yeah, I don't know. So there's that kind of selfishness too with money. And I don't know, like I just want to stay healthy. I stopped posting to Instagram recently, and I deleted the app, and I just don't have much money, and I don't really desire to have a lot of money. I just need enough to get by. So I don't know, I don't find myself that selfish when it comes to those things, where other people seem fairly selfish. Sorry to make the video all about myself, ironically, but just in comparison, I don't feel like I'm very selfish compared to people. But one of the main things is like women posting to social media. That's like the epitome of selfishness, in my opinion. Guys too, like when guys post to social media, it just usually is very selfish, and it turns into, especially on X or on Twitter. I mean, on X, it's just like the worst. The left and the right going at each other. And yeah. Anyway, that's probably the end of this video. Don't be selfish. Be kind. All right. I'm not trying to say be kind in that terrible way that women say it, and then they get paid on OnlyFans or whatever, and they're like, be kind to me and give me money. No, just be kind, you know. All right. Merry Christmas Eve.